Webull made the decision about a year ago that we were going to go down the de-SPAC process to be able to become a publicly listed company. One of the reasons was that the IPO market, the traditional IPO market, was closed. Just really lack of issuance, volatility in the marketplace. The current administration at the time is pretty challenged in terms of that new issue process. SPAC IPO process was a little bit more finite, defined, that we could be able to tackle and then roll out and become public. And that came to fruition a couple weeks ago when we rolled out of the SK Global Fund and became fully listed on NASDAQ under the ticker BULL. Off to the races since.
What has Webull's growth been over the past year?
It's been tremendous, right? The stories of Robinhood, the stories of Webull's, the stories of Interactive Brokers, it's kind of these zero commission, opening access to all, democratizing finance, and the ability to be able to do that for many people, especially on your phones. The amount of people that are trading on their phones, and that's just not equities or options or futures, that's fixed income, that's moving IRAs. It's amazing on what people can do with that device in their hand, and it's happening at greater speeds, and more users are coming. So what we've seen, like even if I just look at the options business, because we're obviously at the options conference, the options business on a year since 2020 the users have grown double digits year over year. But what you're also seeing is, and what's contributing to these large volume spikes over years, is these users, and these might be new users, they're trading more. Whether that's up 400+% from 2020. So what you're seeing is these new users are not only coming to the marketplace, but they're also then getting used to trading options, and then they're trading more options. So that average size that they're using in the marketplace is getting bigger, contributing to the growth that we're seeing in the overall industry.
How have your users been using zero DTEs?
The zero DTEs, or the short-dated options in index and ETFs, are quite popular. And you see them for multiple different capacities. One, directional trades, without a doubt. Whether that's a bias to the upside or bias to the downside, those are going to be people that are using these instruments. There's a lot of overwriting. There's a lot of yield-enhancing type of strategies, or just spread strategies, call spreads, put spreads. It's a pretty diverse group of individuals, but those tend to be the three most popular ones. The other interesting thing, so that's just index and ETF, but as you look at our volume profiles, so I would say from Monday through Friday for single stock equity options, it almost looks like a Nike swoosh, meaning that the volumes on Monday, fair, Tuesdays and Wednesdays tend to be a little bit slower, and as we accelerate to that zero, Thursday and Friday, our volumes are probably 30 to 40% higher as people are trading in around that 1 day or 2 day option contract in single stock equity options. So it is very prevalent with our user base.
Are there any other global markets you are looking to enter?
Global is clearly part of our story. We're in 14 countries now, and wanting to continue to expand those numbers of countries that we're in. Obviously, in some of the countries that we're not in, Korea, India, challenging jurisdiction to get approval, right? So there is obviously tactical steps that we want to be mindful of at entering into a region. However, we know that the demand is there, right? So being able to provide access to the U.S. markets as well as global markets is going to continue to be important. We have to think about it tactically, whether the regulators have come down and maybe made it more difficult for those to trade in those marketplaces. We want to be mindful of that. If there's ways for us to provide access in a safer way, where there's education and there's an ability for a product to be a little bit safer for individuals to trade, we will want to be there and do that. But I'd say 14 going to 20, the next 6 will probably be more challenging for us to do, but we want to do it when we know that you're not only opening local derivatives markets, but maybe U.S. derivatives markets, as well as U.S. and local equities. Those are important for us in a value proposition to continue to accelerate.